Howdy, what's up? Hello! My name is Victoria. I am a singer-songwriter who wants to learn and open up more conversations about the music industry. And today, we're going to talk about country music. And is it good? Well, before you can really answer that, you need to know what country music is, where it came from, and where it's going. In today's video, I want to tell you the real story of country music and how the erasure of its roots in the music industry has contributed to the lack of diversity in artists and audiences in the genre. As more Black and queer artists have entered, or more truthfully, re-entered the genre over the last few years, the landscape of country music is changing for the better. So if your first thought when you hear about country music is that it's not for you, I'm hoping that by the end of this video you will have found a place for yourself in the past, present, and future of country music. So with all that being said, let's get into the rootin', bootin', tootin', scootin', talk about country music, baby. So before I dive too deep into this, I want to let you know of some resources I found through the creation of this video that talk more in depth about the day-to-day, year-to-year history and the technicalities in chord progressions and the development of country music through the years. All of those resources will be linked below, and I will be focusing more on the emotion and the feeling in context with the history and how the progression of country music has gotten to where it is today. So check out those sources below if you want some more in-depth specifics about the entire history of country music. And remember that genres in music are supposed to be used as navigators, like a GPS. So if this video about country music was a road trip, we are focusing on the pit stops, the restaurants on the side of the road, all the things that make you feel like you're on a real adventure. And for us, that adventure starts with a little instrument called the banjo. The banjo originated as a descendant of West African lutes that were brought to America by enslaved people, and it became an integral part of African American music and culture in the South. Soon enough, it would be appropriated by white artists and audiences and spread throughout the mainstream culture through minstrel shows, which were blackface musical productions done by white people mocking the lives of enslaved people and people of color. They were singing songs of Black creation and of Black experience, and this progressed into a genre first called hillbilly music, which later progressed into country music. There are quite a few artists who are viewed as the grandfathers of country music that were actually mentored by Black musicians first, like Leslie Carter, who taught A.P. Carter of the famous Carter family, or Rufus T. Tot Payne, who mentored Hank Williams, or maybe Gus Cannon, who trained Johnny Cash. As time went on, white artists, more particularly white men, became the face of what country music was, even though Black artists were the ones who had made the music and developed the instruments and the instrumentation. Black artists began shifting into creating the other genres that we now know and love today, things like blues, jazz, rock, R&B, all created by Black people. As country music continued to gain notoriety throughout the landscape of music in the 20s and 30s, surprise, surprise, there were queer people being erased from the genre too. The first gay country song is suspected to be I Love My Fruit by the Sweet Violet Boys, who are more commonly known as the Prairie Ramblers. In the latter half of the 20th century, you got the rise of what some people call outlaw country, which was the anti-capitalist, anti-government brand of country music that spoke for the people and was by the people. They were making music for the working class, the poor, women were making music, they were standing up for other women, and generally the people who were underrepresented and undercared for in the various communities across the United States. Willie Nelson is famous for his support of marijuana, Dolly Parton has been a huge advocate for the queer community for years, and Johnny Cash built his entire career off fighting for incarcerated people and against the systematic oppression set forth by the prison industrial complex. There were still a few Black and queer artists on the scene, some in particular being Charlie Pride, who was a famous Black country artist who rose to fame in the early 70s, and a gay country group called Lavender Country, who put out the first obvious and well-known gay country album ever. Their most famous song is called Crying These Cocksuckin' Tears, and it was a direct hit to the homophobic people in America who were fighting directly against the rights of queer people across the nation. Lead singer Patrick Haggerty laid the groundwork for artists like Trixie Mattel and Orville Peck to rise into pop culture now, as well as experience their own resurgence later, but we'll get there. These artists were doing what country was made to do, Speak up, tell the stories of the people, and tell those stories in a way that was beautiful and accessible. This category of country shifted and changed all through the 80s and 90s, but it wasn't until the early 2000s that once again, country music was ripped away from its roots and shifted into the opposite of what its intentions were originally supposed to be. After 9/11, country music became a vessel for blind nationalism for the country. You got the rise of what can be known as stadium country or bro country, which talks about the good old American flag, girls, trucks, beer, and having a good old country time. Now excluding necessary criticism and social commentary that had established the genre and carried it for upwards of a century. Artists like Luke Bryan, Florida Georgia Line, Blake Shelton were all pushed to the forefront of the country music industry as the poster boys. And anyone who went against the standard American patriot grain was pretty much exiled into the land of the traitors for an inevitable amount of time. For example, the Chicks. Their career was basically ended for about 15 years because they spoke up against Bush in the early 2000s when he started meddling in foreign affairs. After 9/11. The genre became so heavily focused on this patriotic, nationalistic idea of America that the genre itself became exclusive to those who benefited from that image, which was white, cisgendered people. Because the experiences of queer people and people of color in America are not in line with the patriotic, nationalistic ideal image of what people want that to be. This is not to say that all of the music in this category of country is racist or homophobic directly, or it is inherently bad music. It's the fact that the system in which this music is released is inherently built for a certain type of person to succeed in it, and that does not include black people or queer people or any other person of color or any other minority in the United States. Carrie Underwood, Hunter Hayes, Taylor Swift all got their start in country music. All artists that I really love and that have incredible discographies full of lyricism and beautiful, relatable words about grief and love and loss and heartbreak. There's music there that everyone can relate to, but the cloud of exclusivity that revolves around country as a genre hinders a diverse audience or diverse amount of creators to pursue a full career into that genre. Politically, globally, we are yet again at another state of divisiveness in our entire country, and because country music is perceived as America's genre, at least on a general perspective, that divisiveness reflects directly into the country music industry. But the face of country music does not equal the base of country music, the foundation, the pillars, the spackle on the wall, things that hold everything together. The diversity that you're looking for in country music lies in between the mainstream country pipeline roadmaps that have been laid out by the general public. As you go through the 2010s, artists like Casey Musgraves, Trixie Mattel, Orville Peck, Mickey Guyton, Kane Brown, and of course the resurgence of iconic gay country band Lavender Country, all begin to set a standard for diversity within the country music industry. These are just a few of many country artists that are working diligently in the industry to bring us back around to what country has always been, and that is speaking for the working class, speaking for the people, and being directly critical of the governmental bodies that were partially responsible for the downfall of country music to begin with. Mickey Guyton is a particular artist who is bridging the gap between what the face of country music is and what the base of country music is, in her song Black Like Me. In this song, she speaks to the mainstream country audience directly about her experience as a black person in America, particularly a black woman, which had been amplified into her experience as a country artist. You have artists like Yola, who is a black Americana artist, doing what I can only describe as an out-of-body experience with her merging of folk music, soul music, country, and R&B. It's incredible. Just this week on RuPaul's Drag Race, the Final Four were tasked with creating their spin on a country song called This Is Our Country. And at first when I saw this and started hearing about the challenge, I was like, no thank you. This is not what I want at all right now. I'm not feeling this. No, don't want it. But as I watched it and as I listened and as I saw these queer people and people of color making a country song that sounds like something I would have heard growing up in West Virginia on the radio, I felt patriotic. I felt like I was seen in our country. I felt like I could look at somebody and feel myself in them and actually be proud of something in this country for once. Even if it's a couple drag queens performing a country song. Like, I really was appreciative of having that representation. It made me realize that the pride that I was looking for in country music is still there. Here you have 5 drag queens performing a country song that they wrote within their own experiences of completely different backgrounds, reclaiming their stake and their pride in America as people who deserve it and who have been constantly pushed down by the people who are responsible for helping them. And with that, you have Tanya Tucker, who is a complete gold celebrity star status of a country musician who is using her long established cred to uplift the voices of 5 queer people and people of color and of different gender identities into the spotlight and into the forefront of country music. And that is fucking awesome. If country music really is America's genre, then this is what I want to see in country music as we go into the future. And listen, you don't have to like the country music. You don't have to think it's the best song in the world. It's not about that. Music is all a matter of opinion. You can feel any way that you want about the feeling in the music itself. The context of the music is important. Representation is important. Seeing people on and in these songs and using this music that are not typically represented in the genre is important, and it's exciting and it's comforting, and it gives me hope to see what the future of country music has the potential to be. In order for country music to continue breaking down the barriers of what is and what isn't country music, then it needs to have a fan base and an audience base to bounce off of. If you are someone who has up to this point felt like they did not have a place in country music or couldn't find an artist that felt representative of you, I promise you that there is an artist who has created their music specifically with you in mind. As a lifetime fan and critic of country music, this is what I believe country music was made for. To speak for the unspoken, sing a song for those who may not have been able to find theirs yet, and to push out into the mainstream what people want to put into the closet. The question we started this video with was, is country music good? And my answer is, country music is everything. It is black, it is queer, it is funky, it's traditional, it's fresh, it's old, it's everything. Anything that you need or that you felt or that you've experienced, I can almost guarantee that somebody's written a country song about it. It's anything that you want it to be if you remove the face of country music and you look at the base. Still doesn't mean that you have to like it. That's completely fine. Everything is a matter of opinion. But I felt like a lot of people didn't like country because the representation of country music has been completely skewed from what the entire idea was to begin with. So yeah, that's my opinion. Country music is everything. If you are still on the fence about whether or not you're a country music fan, I implore you to check out a playlist I made called The Country Sampler, in which I have put together a ton of artists from a bunch of different backgrounds, a bunch of different experiences, and a bunch of different types of country for you to check out and hopefully find at least one person who you can relate to in that level and say, damn, I guess I kind of like country music. I would love to hear your thoughts and feelings and experiences within country music, and anything you have to say, I'd love to hear it. There's definitely a couple things that I couldn't have fit in this video for the sake of time, but there's tons of resources I have linked in the description for you to check out for more in-depth and detailed and incredible performances within the realm of country music, specifically highlighting black and queer artists. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you stuck with me this far. I also have all of my social medias linked below. You can find me on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram at Howdy, I'm Victoria. Yes, that's me. If you did enjoy today's video and hanging out with me talking about country music, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're here and you're hanging out and you had a good time, go ahead and subscribe. Yeah, that was my little bit of I wrote you a country song to subscribe. Okay, wait, I'll write you, if I write a little country song right now, will you subscribe to my channel? Okay. Hit the subscribe button. I'm just a little YouTuber on a big old platform now. And if you subscribe to my channel now, it would be wow. Hit the like button and the subscribe button. It really does help little tiny teeny weeny beanies like me on this big YouTube world. And turn on post notifications if you want to be the first at the function for next week's video. I hope that you have a wonderful day. I've had a good time talking about country music. Obviously, if you can't tell in my accent, I do like country music. Thank you again for watching, and I really can't wait to see y'all next week.